Hi Rachel, welcome.
Merhaba.
Merhaba. How are you?
Super. My one word, I'm sorry. I'm good, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so excited to be with you. This was dream 5 years ago. Our community has some question for you. We collected them all for you. If you're ready, I would like to start.
That would be lovely, thank you.
But before, I want to say I really like you. You have great energy.
Likewise, it's a mutual respect.
Thank you. You bring something new to crypto. We are happy to have you here. Are you ready to start?
I am ready to start, and thank you so much. As you know, Turkey was one of the first places I visited. Well, I've been there many times before, but I visited when I joined Binance, and it's a very special community. And we are very, very grateful for all of the support that you give us and your broader community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. What is Binance's biggest goal for 2025?
Oof, so much to do, so much to do. Before I talk about future, let me talk a little bit about the past. You know, I think we all know that this last kind of 12 months has been a watershed moment for us. You know, I think you and all of the building of community and the broader industry stakeholders that have been working hard for 10 years are seeing the fruits of that labor. And I think for Binance, we've been blown away by the support from the community and how that's translated into growth. Yeah. So, as you know, we've recently hit 265 million users. And while we're so proud of that, and it's an extraordinary number to be at, after just 7.5 years, I've spoken to you before about the goal of 1 billion. And we are still firmly placed on that.
I remember.
So, I have an Irish father, and an Irish father would say, okay, good that you got that grade, but what about the rest? So in my head, I'm like, what about the other 740 million users that we still need to bring in? So our goal for the remainder of 2025 and for 2026 is really focusing on how do we continue to service our existing and incredible community and user base, but how do we continue to bring more users in? And I think we're going to do that through 3 different ways. One is really focusing on what I describe as access. So really focusing on how are we optimizing our existing products and services, and what new products and services are we creating and launching to bring those users in. And I say that because the new users coming in have lots of different use cases. It's not necessarily just about trading. They want to hodl, they want to be able to pay and interact. And that's going to be critical as we make ourselves part of the everyday part of society, because we need to put crypto into more hands. I think secondly, it's really about education. I've spoken to you before about Binance Academy. We had 43 million people did that last year, which is extraordinary. But it's not going to be just through our global efforts, it's through our local on-the-ground efforts that we're going to be able to break through. And one example is the Women in Tech program that the Binance Turkey team has done, where that's one tiny program of the many we have running, but there's so much opportunity there to ensure we'll put our education in the hands of those, in the minds of people who need it. And then lastly, community. So, I joined Binance because of the strength of the community, and it feels like when are you going to get the opportunity to be part of a movement? It's not just about crypto and blockchain. It's part of this. We're part of this bigger family and this group that's driving the industry forward. And I think we need to continue to focus on our community, whether that be through our angel program, who are the volunteers that act as those kind of educators as you're starting your journey. Whether that be through our local events, whether that be through partnerships with Ronaldo or partnerships with local Turkish companies. So it's really that's a very top line version of how we're going to focus. Last but not least is regulatory clarity. I said 3, but regulatory clarity underlines all of this. And the more clarity we have, and the more clarity we have, that ensures that we create a positive environment for crypto. Is a big focus. So that's some of the work we're doing.
Thank you. How did you find Token 2049 event?
Well, I think you'll also agree that we could be at a crypto event like 3 or 4 a day at this point, because there's so many internationally. But look, Token 2049 is a very special event because it brings together really all of the global ecosystem players. And it's an amazing opportunity to not just meet with the founders, but also the builders, the developers, the users, the community, the angels. You know, one of the reasons why we developed this concept of Clubhouse, though, is that we wanted a space away from Token 2049 where our community and our users could come, you know, not just relax and have a coffee and food, but also be able to share ideas and talk and you know, learn from, you know, some of the industry leaders and from some of the players that are around. So it's really about, like, I describe this as a little bit of a festival, you know, in terms of how it's running. And it's, you know, we're really focused over the course of yesterday and today on how do we educate, but also make it fun and entertaining. And I think you've seen that through some of the experiences outside. So for us, what I'm most excited by, you know, at Binance Blockchain Week, at Token, at the Clubhouse, is the ideas that come out of these sessions, is how we all get better. Because that face time is like better than anything that you can have.
It has so many side events. The people going to...
Well, last year I spent 14 hours in a car. So this year I've avoided being in a car and just stayed like in one small area. But there's like 3,000 side events, someone told me, you know, between like smaller meetups and bigger events. What's your favorite event so far?
Binance.
Binance. I promise I didn't pay him to do that. No, look, it's a good opportunity to get together. And my team loves it because we get to spend time with you, spend time with other people, understand what's keeping you up at night. And that makes us smarter at what we're doing.
Yeah. Excellent. Angels, Binance, personals.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're great.
Thank you. What differentiates Binance from the other exchange? I know, but told you.
Okay. You know, we're in a really privileged position that after, you know, 7.5 years, and I've only been there for a proportion of that, but after 7.5 years, we're still the leader. You know, and we've just hit 262 million users, and we are in 100 countries.
Yeah.
Like, I have a team, my team's 230 or 250 people. I think I've got 52 languages spoken on my team. We've really, obviously Binance Turkey has a very strong team, but I think what really differentiates us, you know, it's not just about product suite or liquidity or, you know, regulatory compliance. Like, that is important because that paves the way for the future. But I think it's our user centricity. You know, I think it's the user centricity where, you know, you met with Yi and her focus, like she describes herself as the chief customer officer. And she genuinely is. I wake up in the morning to messages from her about, we need to improve this, we need to look at this. And I think it's that user centricity that then, you know, delivers itself in just a prioritization and a focus on constantly listening to the community. We're not perfect. We never claim to be. But we always want feedback, and we will act on that feedback. And if we see issues that our community is sharing, we'll do that. We try and be innovative, obviously, ourselves, but the best feedback you can get through that. I think secondly, what really differentiates us is our community. I've already talked about that, but you know, it's such a privilege. People are so passionate about not just Binance, but this industry, and they want to impart their knowledge, and they want to share their best practices. And they want to really show how crypto and blockchain can democratize finance and make it accessible for more. Like, we have 1.8 billion people unbanked. Yeah. And that's like, you know, I was in Kenya recently and I was in Pakistan, like that can solve those issues that they have there. And then in somewhere like the more sophisticated, you know, like Turkey, where you've got tech forward people and, you know, like there's huge, you know, it's about builders, it's about like super sophisticated traders, you know, it's about people. And I think that's where it gets so exciting, is how our community are really driving this industry and growing this industry. And, you know, we had a challenging few years, but it was the community that stayed with us through all of that we owe our success to. So we want to ensure that we are always focused on what they need. and how we use that to drive us forward. So I think those are the two unique. There's swag, there's events, there's all these fun things under, but they're all the like the vanity parts. I think those are the two core traits that help us keep as the leader.
Thank you. Last question. What was the biggest challenge while growing Binance?
I think the biggest challenge while growing Binance, but I think it's an opportunity as well, goes back to education. Mm-hmm. I think this is an industry, as many industries before that are fast growing and tech forward, that can be very misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes that can be mystifying to individuals. People have so little time now, mm-hmm. Between family, between work, between everything going on in the world. So to try and take their headspace to truly educate them on crypto mm-hmm. was challenging, especially since, when I was in school, I was never educated on finance. Yeah. I was never told this is what you need to do to ensure you're healthy in your future. Mm-hmm. I picked that up. So it's not naturally people don't naturally talk about financial education. So I think it's both a challenge and an opportunity is how we ensure that we are challenging the myths that exist about this industry and ensuring that we are giving education at scale, but localized mm-hmm. and relevant to the individuals who will be the next generation of users. Because I think fear is one of the biggest challenges, or a lack of understanding, in this industry in terms of bringing in the next generation. But I think we're really, with the regulatory clarity, with more commitment from the industry, we're starting to see that change. And that's why we're seeing such a flood of new users.
Thank you. Arkadaşlar, Rachel'ı ağırlamak benim için de oldukça büyük bir kilometre taşıydı. Ben çok mutluyum. İlerleyen süreçte sormamı istediğiniz bir şeyler olursa bu videonun altına yorum olarak yazabilirsiniz. Thank you Rachel.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Görüşmek üzere.